We have a special guest with us today, and we're really excited to have Mackenzie Spong on the channel. And I'm going to pass it along to her so she can introduce herself and tell us what she's all about.
All right, so as Blake said, I'm Mackenzie. Right now I'm currently a fourth year undergraduate student in kinesiology here at Western in London, Ontario. I have been a member of the women's national sledge hockey team since I was 14. I'm now 21, so 7 years. And yeah,
Wow, 7 years?
7 years. It's crazy.
Holy
Yeah,
smokes. So you were
time flown
14.
by. I was in grade 10.
I'm getting into our first question here. Um, so what age did you start playing sledge hockey and why did you get into it?
So as I said before, started playing when I was 7. Why I got into it is because I have a twin sister who had played hockey ever since we were really little, since we were 3 or 4, and I always loved watching her play, but I couldn't play myself because I was born with something called cerebral palsy, basically meaning it affects how tight the muscles are in my legs, so it causes issues with bones, joints, that type of thing, so I could never skate, but I always loved the game. And one of my teachers at school knew this, and she kind of pulled my parents and I aside one day after school and just said, hey, there's this club in London, I think you should go check it out, see what it's all about. Signed up, and next week I went out, and first time on the ice, I absolutely loved it, so I was hooked.
I'm really glad that you're able to get that option to join a club. And I'm not sure what would the club's name be for in London.
Yeah, so in London, it's called the London Blizzard Sledge Hockey Club, or technically Para Ice Hockey Club, I guess now, if you think about it. But yeah, they've been great ever since day one. So, and you can find like all their information online. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the rink all the time, and I didn't know what the organization was called. Like I've seen them like the sledge hockey teams practicing and playing, but I didn't know like what the organization was. So that's great. Most people that play hockey, they obviously know the rules for ice hockey, and I guess a question that would come up would be like, do the rules differ when going to sledge hockey, or is it the same?
Yeah. So all the same rules apply. So 5 players and a goalie. Penalties are all the same except for one additional one called teeing or T-boning, which basically, like, if I was skating with the puck and you came and hit me like this, you'd get a penalty. Other than that, all the rules are the same. I guess one major difference is that both men's and women's are full contact. So that's something that's a little different from stand-up. And also at the international level, we play 15-minute periods instead of 20.
You guys are full out contact then, eh?
Yes. So like you can't hit somebody like this, but like I can go and like hit them like that. Or like a normal body check, like shoulder on shoulder. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Oh, I feel like the contact just adds another level of intensity like to the game.
It does. It does. It makes it yeah, it just makes it a lot more fun, I think, and it just also keeps the intensity of the game up. I mean, obviously nobody's out there to injure somebody else. But yeah.
Another question I want to ask is what steps would someone have to take to get into sledge hockey? You kind of touched on that about getting in contact with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would just say do some research, reach out to your local club. I know a lot of large cities in Ontario and elsewhere in Canada have clubs. So just do some research, get in contact with people like in your community, kind of by word of mouth, just like how I got involved. Also, if it is something like we do a lot of advertising at like the Children's Treatment Center, Parkwood Hospital, all that type of stuff, just to kind of encourage people who may have went through an injury or something recently to come on out and try it. And also a big misconception about sledge, at least at the club level, is that you have to have some sort of physical disability. Not the case at all. Anybody can play, and we do have families that come out and play all the time. So it can really be a sport for anybody.
A lot of people probably would have made that assumption. It's good to have that clarification for sure. And then moving along, so getting started and then you start playing, um, what would the process be like? Let's say, you're starting to get very good at it and you want to be on a national ice hockey team. So what would the steps be to get into that?
So at first, I would say I think the biggest thing in all of this and what I've learned most is that you have to enjoy what you're doing and you have to have fun. So that would be the first step. Number one, I wouldn't say start playing with the intention of like, thinking you're going to make it there one day. Enjoy every step along the way. There will be times where it's challenging and other times where it's a lot of fun and exciting, and kind of just keep at it and understand that it will it will be a lot of work and there is a lot of dedication and injuries and whatever else that happen, but that's why you surround yourself with good people and coaches and teammates, and if you want to and if you're willing to put in the work, you can 100% get there, and nothing is impossible. So yeah.
I really do love that answer. That was awesome. And I guess the next thing that comes to my mind is like, how were you approached? Like, were you just playing a game and then Team Canada came and talked to you, or how did that play out?
Well, I was actually at a tournament in Buffalo. Um, and I had heard about the women's national team before. And I should just clarify that. So the men's team is in the Paralympics. The women's team is not, because technically in the Paralympics, sledge hockey is considered a co-ed sport. So essentially you could have women playing on the men's team. But at this moment, other than one girl who plays for Norway, she's the only one who's playing with the men. So the women's team wasn't very known about when I was 12, 13. I went to a tournament in Buffalo, and I actually went and I sat and watched a game with the women's team, met all the girls, and they were just so welcoming and kind. And I think from that moment, I realized that I just wanted to be part of a team that had those values and really wanted to like make a difference for others and for the future of women's sport. So that's kind of how that happened. It was at a tournament in Buffalo, and yeah, the rest is history.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the right place at the right time, like in a tournament, and then they're playing as well. I don't know. Hard to say that that's a coincidence. I think it was meant to be. You see the Canadian team and, kind of set yourself up saying like it'd be awesome if I could, play on this team someday. And then obviously it happened pretty quick after that. But once you have made that level, I'm just interested in, what the training is like practices, games, off ice training, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so first of all, it's not just like you make the team and you still have to work really hard once you're there, obviously. I feel like everybody probably knows that. But our training in a non-COVID situation, I'm usually either on the ice in the gym 6 days a week. Um, and a lot of our training has to do with upper body, since it's an upper body sport. So a lot of arms, core, that type of thing. Um, Also with training, I feel like it has to encompass every aspect of it. So obviously physically, but also making sure you're getting proper nutrition, proper recovery, all that type of stuff, just to make sure you're playing your best. Physio also very important. And yeah, just kind of like having a positive attitude towards training. I think since it is such a big time commitment, and you do spend a lot of time at the rink or in the gym, and it can get a little tiresome, and just kind of reminding yourself why you're there, and um, the bigger reason why you're doing this. I think that's always important.
6 times a week is definitely a big commitment to be putting into something. And
Not right now on the ice, not right now, because I'm
yeah,
gonna.
got to make that clear. I guess we did touch on this like a little bit before, but I guess just to reiterate everything, what advice would you give to those looking to get into like sledge hockey and those who are looking to play at the higher level, if you have anything else to add?
I think whenever I think of this question, because we are tend to ask it a lot in interviews and stuff, um, But whenever I think of this question, I always think of what I would have told like my 13-year-old self going into the national team and having like not a clue of what I was even doing there, to be totally honest with you. And I always think like what I would have wanted to hear. I would tell myself to like slow down and really just like enjoy every moment of it, and don't ever forget why you're there in the first place. And I think also like not even something I regret necessarily, but something that I wish maybe I would have done differently is within the first couple of years on the team, I think I took everything so seriously that it all just flew by. Like I think back to my time on the team then, and like I have so many more memories now than what I do back then. And I think it just comes down to I never really took the time to like take a breath and let it sink in that like, wow, like this is something you've worked for and you're here and you've done it. And I also think it's just like knowing that if you ever are on a national team in any sport, not just hockey, it is like, it's a great honor to wear a maple leaf on your chest, and it's an opportunity I'll never take for granted, but it's also just getting to work with others and meeting people and the opportunities you have and the experiences you have. Like those are memories you're going to have for a lifetime. And you're so much more than a hockey player or whatever sport you play. And also just like being a role model. I think something that I feel like being on any sort of high level team, what everybody sees is what you do on the ice. We do a ton of grassroots development and things like that. And that's what I really love, because I'm aware that, you know, as much as I would love to go to the Paralympics in sledge hockey, and as much as that's still my goal to this day, I'm also aware that that may never happen. And to know that I'm part of, you know, paving the way for young girls and women in sledge who will eventually be there one day, that's just so gratifying. And yeah.
Something to be proud about. And yeah, I guess the whole point of this interview was to hopefully reach some more people and inspire and learning from your experience. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Do you think there's anything you want to leave? Any final words at all?
No, I think I'm good. I think I've said everything.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time to do that.
Thanks for having me.